Hello, everyone. Welcome to my series of recordings about the Docker technology. And we're going to be going through a few simple but exciting things on this series of broadcasts. And I'm hoping to highlight the uses and the advantages of the Docker technology, the Docker containers. Let's have a look. We're going to have a look at a web service, that was built using .NET Core, which we're going to attempt to dockerize. The term dockerize means to wrap it up in a Docker container and be able to run it, to be able to run that service from within its Docker container. So this, what you see here on your screen now, is the page, the landing page for the VAT Toolbox app. This app is available on the iPhone and iPad. I actually wrote this app about 7 years ago, and the backend for this app has evolved over the years. It started its journey as a WCF service that was serving XML stuff. Now it's evolved into a web API that is serving JSON information. So this is the app itself, and everything that is happening outside the app goes through this backend service. So if we want to get information let's say we want to get information in rather into the service, into the app from the backend or from the outside world, we go through these service. An example is, let me show you an example. Yeah, this screen here, these are VAT rates that we store on the app for several countries. And these VAT rates get refreshed from time to time. So what I then do is to update the VAT rates on Azure Cosmos DB, and then set a parameter that will inform this app that the rates need to be refreshed. So that's one of the things that the backend service helps us to do. Another thing that the backend, okay, so this is the rates version. You can see it here. So once you check rates, it's gonna check the rate version and see if you're running an outdated set of rates. Another thing that the app does, yes, is to look up VAT numbers, and this service is available across the entire EU. So it can look up VAT numbers and check if the VAT number that is supplied is a legit one. So I think this service can be used across all the EU. So any EU VAT number can be cross-checked using this app. And the way this works is that this app will make a call out to my service, and what my service will do is to pass this number and pass this country code to the EU web service. The EU web service will return with all these pieces of information and pass it back to my own web service, and then my web service will pass it back to this app. So what we're going to be looking at today is how that web service can be containerized and yet not lose any of its functionality. So we're going to kick off the process now. Let's go to Visual Studio Code. So the first thing I want to do is bring up the code base. I think I need to create a branch. We're on the master branch, so let me say git check out. I think that should be -b for a new branch, and let's call this Docker recording. Okay, so we've created a new branch, so we can work off that branch. Now let's have a look at the code base. So this is the solution file here, and there are 3 projects under this solution. We have the models project. In the models project, we have all the POCO objects that are being used in passing information out to the front end. So you can see that they have JSON decorators here. The VAT is a version message. Remember that VAT, the version number and the date that we saw. And also, let's say, Yeah, country rates. Yeah, this is the one that brings back rates, VAT rates for various countries. And let's see, check user response, app message, not this one. Yeah, and this one also helps in bringing feedback back from the app. We're going to see this in action as well. So, in a nutshell, these are the backend services for the app models, and then this is the repository that is being used to get the VAT rates. So this actually connects to a MongoDB connects to a MongoDB database, which is Cosmos DB on Microsoft Azure, and also this is a hard-coded implementation of the same interface. Of this interface, this is a MongoDB repo implementation. So if MongoDB goes down, I can revert back to the hard-coded interface, yeah, for whatever reason. But it's never gone down on me because it runs on Azure. So good job. Then also the last one we want to look at is the main one itself, which is where the controller sits. So this is the VAT toolbox controller, and this is where we have all the functions that are being called root VAT toolbox. So this is the one that goes out to check VAT IDs. So validate VAT ID. So we actually have it as check VAT ID showing up. And what this does is to call out to the EU web service. And then when it comes back, it then constructs the response object, and then it sends it back. So the response object, let's look at the models so we can see what the response object looks like. Yeah, the models response object. You see, so this is the name, this is the address, this is to tell us whether the VAT number is valid or not, and this is a server response if we have any server response coming through. So this is what the back end of the project looks like, and what we can do now, okay, what we can do is let's see if we can .NET restore. No, we don't need to do that. We're gonna go straight into the script now. So this effectively is the code base of the app. Now I would want us to run this locally to see how it works. So let's try a .NET build to see if that's gonna work. Yeah, so I've actually built it previously, so it runs. Then let's see if we can do a .NET run. Yeah, I suspect we need to go into the main folder here, this one. So cd, yep, and then let's do a .NET run. Okay, good. So we can see that the web service is running on localhost 50726. So let's open these up. Localhost 50726, this one. Wow, so you see, that's the Swagger interface of the web service. So you can see these are the various functions within the web service. So if we do get rates, let's try this out. So let's try it out. And execute. Yeah, execute. So what the Swagger interface does is to make a call to the web service, to the exposed web service. So you can see country AT Austria. You can see Bulgaria. So you see the web service works. So because this is a call out to Microsoft Azure, the Cosmos DB database. And also, let's see. So this, with this Swagger interface, you can actually make a call on the service, and this service is running locally on my machine at the moment. Another thing you can do is to run Postman. So let's go to Postman and see if we can VAT. Okay, we'll set up another environment. We'll set another environment up. So let's look at, okay, let's just set up another environment. Or, okay, we can actually clone one for the sake of time. So let's pick this local one and let's clone it. So copy, and then let's amend it. So let's call this local back end service. And we were running on port 50726. 50726. 50726. So let's update that local backend service and we're done. So we can now switch to local backend service. So let's see if we can validate a VAT number. So this is a sample VAT number. I think this is Apple's VAT number if I'm right. So let's send a message. So this message has been sent to my local service that is running on the machine, and my local service has called out to EU to validate the authenticity of this VAT number. So you can see that my local service is running perfectly. Now, what I've done is that I have calls to all these services, and I have also designed tests to run against all those calls. So you can have a look here. So current services on Postman. Postman, by the way, is a very good tool. I don't know what you can do without Postman if you are into web services or web APIs. So we choose the local backend service, which is the one that is running on my machine at the moment. So we have a bunch of services here and then run current services. And what this is going to do is to run through the entire test suite. And you see, we'll have 43 tests here, all passed. So it's running very well, running very fine on my local machine. So we can definitely say that this app is working correctly and it's working perfectly in its local implementation through Visual Studio Code. So our assignment for today is to dockerize it. We want to wrap this entire service into a Docker image. Now, why are we trying to wrap this into a Docker image? Of what use, of what user, of what benefit will this be to us? Now, you see, we have many situations where you need several instances of this service running. I can give you an example. Say, for instance, you are developing, like, say, for instance, the database that is generating those VAT rates is local to the project, to the backend project. Imagine that you now want to run this website in 3 different states. Now, the problem you're going to have is that if you are a developer and you're trying to run this, from your machine, it means that you need 3 databases to work. You need 3 databases to be up for you to run 3 instances of this project. But the beautiful thing about Docker is that you can encapsulate an entire project along with all its dependencies in one single container without needing to create a virtual machine. So with that container has all the dependencies, all the resources required to run that project, and you can then deploy the image of that container as many times as you want on the same machine. And we're going to demonstrate it now. I'm going to show you 3 copies of this website running on my own machine, my local machine. 3 copies of the same website, 3 distinct copies that will not affect each other. So it means that if this website, if they are keeping state, for instance, you're going to have 3 different websites, 3 different states, and they are the same, actually the same website image that was used in creating them. I mean, that is awesome. So it means that if I want to run 3 of these websites on my local machine, I don't need 3 virtual machines. And that is the developer's dream. I mean, I've worked on a project before where you could let's go to the Docker website. Yeah, I've worked on a client before where each developer has his own copy, has a copy of the image of the backend service. So you don't even need to be connected to the internet to run the backend service of your application, because we were front-end developers. And the backend service was encapsulated in the Docker image, and the Docker image was running right on our machine, or on our local machines. Hallelujah. So, I mean, seriously, that was a dream for us. That was a dream. So look at the difference here programmatically. Virtual machine. So this is the way we used to do it before. You have an hypervisor here, and then you have three virtual machines to run three different instances of the app. So it means that you've got to have three guest operating systems. But with containerization, you have the app along with its dependencies all wrapped up in a container. So you can have as many containers as the memory can take sitting on a Docker framework, and the Docker framework is sitting just on one single operating system and on one single infrastructure. So you can see the difference now. You can see the advantage of containerization. And let's just really say containers are an abstraction at the app layer that packages code and dependencies. You see, it's codes and dependencies, and multiple containers can run on the same machine, share the same operating system kernel with other containers, each running as isolated processes in user space. Containers take up less space than VMs. Container images are typically tens of megabytes in size and can handle more applications and require fewer VMs and operating systems. So you see, this is really so nice. This is really so nice. I mean, this diagram tells the story, the full story. Just one host operating system. You don't even need VMs running on top. You just host everything on the same Docker framework within the same machine, and they are all running in their separate spaces, and they don't talk to each other except if you want them to talk to each other. But by default, they run in their separate spaces unimpeded. You can bring this one down, it's not going to affect A to E. You can bring C down, it's not going to affect A, B, D, E, or F. So which is a dream. So the next thing we want to do, I actually have a checklist here and of things that we're going to do. So we have looked at the Postman test, we have looked at the benefits of Dockerization, and we're going to do a detailed walkthrough of the Docker script that we're going to use in Dockerizing this application. So let's go to Visual Studio Code, and let's see, let me just close all these up, and let's see. Okay, so this is the PowerShell script we're going to use in creating this Docker image. So Docker image ls, I don't know how much of PowerShell that you know, but it's very easy to figure out. I'll explain it to you. Docker image ls means that we want to see the list of images, Docker images we have in our repository, in the local repository, and then we build a Docker image of an application. And this is the repository name, web app, and this is going to be what we call the tag. So it's always the repository name colon tag. Now, once we've done that, we're going to look. Now, what this will do is to start a build using the Docker file here. Now, the Docker file is where the meat of the gist is. Now, on this Docker file, what happens? The first command here is going to download the .NET Core SDK to create a building environment for us to work with. And then work directory /app is going to create an app folder within our brand new Docker image that we're setting up. Then the next thing it's going to do is to copy the solution file. This solution file, let's look for it. Yeah, this solution file here, it will copy it to the app folder. Then the models project, this one here, models, this one, CS proj, it will copy it to the models folder, which is under, you create the models folder under the app folder and copy it there. Do the same thing for repository, do the same thing for my first .NET Core application, and then it will run a .NET Restore. .NET Restore is what brings back the NuGet packages for all these projects. Then once the NuGet packages are brought in into the image, then it will copy everything else that is under this structure, copy it into the app folder, and then it will do a build. Now, when it's doing a build, it's going to do a release build and put it into the out folder. Create an out folder under the app directory. So here we see again, we go into the work directory app, and then what it will do is that it will copy out all the it will create an out folder under each of the project directories that will contain the runtimes. So what this will do is to copy out all the runtimes from the out folder of each directory, each project directory, and copy it into the app folder. and it will do the same thing for this. And at this point here, we are ready to run the application. So it would now set an entry point that when you enter the image, it's going to run .NET, my first .NET Core app. This is the main project. And then the web service is going to spin up. So in a nutshell, that is how it runs. Now let's go back to the PowerShell script. So once the image has been created and stored, we can then run 3 copies of the image. See, the same image, we're going to run it 3 times, and we're going to stick them up on different port numbers on the same machine. And at that point, we're going to have 3 copies of the images running on the same machine. So, I mean, this is a developer's dream. So let's start. Docker image ls. So we're going to list. Let me just clear the window here so we can have a good view. Docker image ls. So we see that there is nothing that belongs to us apart from the .NET SDK on the image system. Then the next thing we're going to do is to run this. Is to run the build. Let's say. So we're going to run the build. So what this will do is to create an application with this tag, but using the Docker file that we just looked up here. So let's run. So you can see now that it's copied the project files. Now it's doing a .NET restore. This is the longest part of the journey, the .NET restore, because it's pulling down Nugget packages from the internet. It's going to pull them down into the image that's been created here. So we can watch that spin up. Let's keep handle of our time. We have this 21 minutes. I'm hoping to finish this within 30 minutes. So the restore has been completed for the project. So see, the other things are being copied. The build is being created. See, this build being created. And now the artifacts are being copied out into the app folder. And then the entry point has been set. And then it successfully built the image and it successfully tagged it. So the way we know that we have done this, we have successfully built the image, is to check our list of images. So you can see web app :VAT app. So this is the repository, this is the tag, and this is the image ID. And you see it was created 17 seconds ago. And these are the some kinds of dependencies here that are being used to run it. So we've been able to achieve this second line. The third line here is what we do to mount this image into a container and run it within my machine. So let's see. So that's we paste it here. So it's going to run it and call the name of the application my VAT app 1, and it's going to stick it on port 8081. So let's see. As simple as that. So how do we know that we have it running on port 8081? We just do a docker ps-a. This gives us a list of running containers. So you see, it's running container ID, sees the name, and it's running on port 8081. Now, how do we know that it's running on port 8081? Very easy. Let's go to this one here and change the port number to 8081. And here we go. Very quick. And that's our web service running on port 8081. How do we know that everything was compiled correctly and fine and dandy? Let's look for this environment here. Azure. Okay, let's look at Azure local Docker. Oh, okay, this one. Yeah, but I think we still need to, let's see, we'll need to change the port number here to 8081. So we're going to change this to 8081. Yep. And that's it. So we have this pointing to 8081. And let's pick up one of the methods here, get rates, and we run it. So this is going to run against 8081. And you see, those are the rates that came back. And what our application on 8081 has done is to ring out to Azure Cosmos DB to get all these rates down. So let's see if we can see the header here. Okay, body, cookies, header, and then you see all the test results have run correctly. And let's see header, temporary headers that were created when it was being run. You see, that were created when it was being run. Yeah. So that's it in a nutshell. And what we can do here is we can go to our runner. We can go to our runner, and within the runner we can select that environment again, which was that was the core local Docker that runs on 8081, and then go to our list of services, the ones we ran the other time, and then run this. You see, it runs very quick because it's local. You see, 43 passed. So that's in a nutshell how to Dockerize an application that is running. Now, we're not done with the scripts yet. We're going to run these two. So which then means that yeah, and then we run this. So you see now we have 3 applications, 3 copies of this website running on one single machine. I mean, that is a developer's dream. That is a developer's dream. So you see, 3, 8081, 8082, 8083. If you don't believe it, just have a look. 8082 running very quick. 8083 running very quick. Same code base, same image, but spun up on different websites. So we've got 3 websites running: 8081, 8082, 8083. Just for the fun of it, let's do our runner on the other the 8082 website. Let's say on the 8082 website. Okay, let's go to the local backend service. Let's run 8082 here. 8082 and 8082. Let's update that.
I didn't quite get that.
Oh, how did my Siri pick that up? Oh no. Did you hear that? Okay, so let's go to okay, that's local Docker again. Let me be sure that yeah, let's just change this to 8082, and then let's change this to 8082. Okay, so that's on the local Docker. So let's go to our runner. Then the local Docker, which is running on 8082, VAT toolbox, current services, then run the services. So this will run the tests against the 8082 version of the website. VAT, yeah, local Docker, let's see. So that's a local Docker. See, that ran on 8082. Then we can run it again on 8083 on local Docker again. So this is a separate website now on 8083. So let's go to the runner again. Yeah, local Docker, and then VAT toolbox, current services, and then run the tests. And here we go. So we have succeeded in mounting the same Docker image 3 times on the same machine. Same Docker image of a website, I mean a web service, a complete web service testable on the same machine. And see, we have 3 of them showing up, and wow, that is awesome. So that brings us to the end of this broadcast, and I've got 3 more broadcasts coming up on how we can export this Docker image to a Docker hub on the internet that every other person can pull down to their local machines and run using their Docker desktop. So before we go, I just want to clean up. I usually love to clean up after myself. Let's see, toggle line comments. So now let's do Docker image ls. So you see, it is just one Docker image, web app, VAT app. But let's do Docker ps-a, one Docker image running in 3 locations, 3 separate locations, 3 instances of the same Docker image. So what this is going to do is that we're going to stop all 3 Docker instances rather. We're going to pull, remove all the 3 containers that we created. We're going to remove the image, and then we're going to prune the image store. And that's what these scripts will do for us. So let's have a go. Yeah, so VAT app 1 is down, app 2 is down, app 3 is down. It's removed the 3 containers. Then it's going to prune the image. Yeah, prune. And then let's see. So it's all done. So let's now do Docker ps-a. So you see nothing is running. All the containers have been destroyed. They're not taking space anymore. And then let's do a Docker image ls. That's to list images. So you see nothing belongs to us here. We've taken all the images down. Boom. And that's it. So that brings us to the end of this broadcast. Thanks for watching, and please come along to my next recording where I'm going to be teaching you how to export the Docker image that we created into a Docker Hub, and also how to deploy the Docker image from the Docker Hub to local and run it. Assuming that you don't even have the source code at all, you can pull that same Docker image down from the Docker Hub and run it on your local machine and get it tested, get things to connect to it without you even needing to see the source code. So till then, have a great time, and I shall see you soon. Bye.